Why does it keep doing
Hey.
that? Hey guys, what's up? Happy Fromily Friday.
What up?
We are talking about episode 6 today, book 74. And Jazzy knows that this is kind of the one that got me obsessed and started to go down my rabbit holes. Or
This
book
is a
74, I'm
good
sorry.
episode.
Yeah.
It's a very strong episode.
Yeah, it really was. I am this episode has haunted me since I first saw it because I'm just so hung up on some of the stuff that Father Khatri said, and we can get to that a little bit later. But let's I have a couple of things that I wanted to talk about that I saw on Reddit, and I'm wondering if I should save them. I guess it doesn't matter. So there's been a lot of talk on Reddit lately about From possibly being part of the Stephen King macroverse.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely gives me Stephen King vibes, especially in those early episodes.
Yeah. Which I guess like the speculation started, I guess, when he was kind of praising it a little bit too highly.
Mm-hmm.
And which I guess he normally doesn't do. But I mean, that's very interesting for us considering we're like the next podcast that we're planning on doing is going to be covering Welcome to Derry when that comes out. So that would be a great transition.
We will have crossover.
Yeah.
We'll do a crossover episode.
Right?
Can you imagine?
Yeah. From where? From Derry.
Nothing's outside the realm of possibility here. That's what's important.
Yeah, exactly. There's one that I'll save that I found really interesting that I saw on Reddit today. I was basically just checking the newest posts so I can talk about anything I found interesting. One of them I'll save for the end of the episode, but I told you about this already. Somebody on Reddit made a comment that Jim looks like Scott Stapp, and I can't unsee it now.
Yeah. Yeah. He really does.
I'm so disturbed by that. Like, I don't need any more reasons to be annoyed with Jim.
Yes.
And like, I kind of like a balance with him because like he's kind of a jerk and kind of douchey, but he's such a great father. And like, and he seems to be a good husband, except for like a couple of times when he annoyed me with how he talked to Tabitha. But yeah, I mean, like he seems to be a great father, and I like that there's kind of a balance with him. I don't need more reasons to to be annoyed with him.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
So we start off with Kenny and Boyd are burying Nathan, and Khatri, while this is going on, there's kind of a whole montage. Khatri is giving a sermon and talking about how chaos and faith are the duality of their existence, both in the town and in the larger world.
It's kind of wild to me how packed that church is, because I could not imagine going to church during the APOC, like not happening for me. No thanks.
Yeah.
Like, You're in the, I guess maybe it's something to do. Maybe it's like the Friday night movie of Fromville going to church. Like, I could not imagine. You can't get me to church now. Like,
yeah.
ooh.
Honestly, okay. Like, I'm an atheist, but if I were in Fromville, I might go to Father Kotry services just to have something to do.
Yeah, break up the week, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't believe in half of the things he's saying, you can still get some insight from it.
Yeah, it's not like they have Game of Thrones on Sunday to look forward to, so
yeah.
I get
it. Exactly. And I have some thoughts actually on the attendance in the church, which I'll bring up when we get to the scene that
for sure
that it applies to. But yeah, he's he's giving a very pep talky sermon. And everybody seems very, very captivated and interested. And I thought this was interesting. He concludes with Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not into thine own understanding. Which kind of goes along with the whole, like, don't go looking for answers thing.
Yeah.
There's definitely a theme there with that. And what I think is particularly interesting about that is, like, I'm so hung up on the biblical possibilities with the show. And I keep thinking of Colony House as like the Garden of Eden.
Ooh.
You know, like,
ooh. That tickled my brain in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, they've got fruit trees behind there, and there's like, and the town itself is kind of like, there's like the tree of in the Bible, there's like the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And the town is both, in the sense that it's like, it's providing them with food and the things they need to live, but they shouldn't go looking for answers from the tree of knowledge, because bad things will happen to them.
You learn about pants.
Yes.
No.
Exactly.
The guy who plays Kotry, I need to start writing down the actors' names. It's really unprofessional of me, but I enjoy how gray he plays the character. Like,
yeah,
he's a great actor. It's a great character all around, especially for being a priest for me. I'm like, all right, priests. But yeah, I like that. I have no idea what his motivations are. Like, I definitely think he's trying to help everyone get out, but he kind of seems to be like a do it at all costs kind of guy, which you wouldn't expect from a priest. It's very, very, very nuanced, very well. I feel like I spend every episode praising Boyd, so I wanted to throw some roses Father Kotry's way.
Yeah, I think Father Kotry is a great character. He was there was a post on Reddit that I responded to yesterday. I was like, your 5 favorite characters and 5 least favorite, and he was tied for my number 5 with Fatima. So he made it in there. He made it in my top 5. Yeah, I just think he's so fascinating. Especially when you find out about his backstory,
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely got some strong, like, anti-hero vibes,
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, so also while this is going on, Jade is kind of going through the town, gathering stuff up for this radio project. And Tabitha's looking through some stuff in the house. Julie's pondering at the graves that Victor dug. And then she finds a bouquet of flowers on the porch. Not left for her, just left in general. And at first I thought it was Ellis, because, like, he's always That boy's always picking flowers.
Yeah, he really is. A lot of the time.
Yeah. But yeah, it was not Ellis, but we'll get to that later. So towards the end of the sermon, Tabitha comes in and just kind of stands in the back. And she drops off some papers with Bible verses written on them that she found in the Pratt's stuff. Katri asks her how Ethan is doing, and she tells him that he doesn't understand why Sarah would why Sarah would try to hurt him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hurt and confused. And she asks if anyone has seen Sarah. And by the way, okay, something I forgot to mention last week when Jim came up to Boyd and Katri and asked where she was. And he was like, if she comes back before sundown, we'll handle it. If she doesn't, then it's handled. The way that Jim looked at them was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He kind of gave it this like quick up and down.
I guess. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Beat her to death? Like,
yeah.
Come on,
yeah,
man.
Such a negative Nancy.
I know. They're trying.
But yeah, so he tells her that he went after her, but his knees aren't as young as they used to be, and he couldn't keep up, which was a load of shit. And he asks her what she really came there to ask him, and she's just like, she's having an existential crisis, like everybody is in that town, and everybody should be having. And she's like, she doesn't understand if they're like dead and they're trapped in purgatory, and she's watched Lost way too many times, and she she doesn't know if there's still a way to go home, or if they're just stuck. And and Katri mentions that he's had plenty of time to work on his answer, because she's not the first person that has asked that. But he does point out that the family, the Matthews, were still alive when they
came
before
to
they
the
got
town,
the
before they crashed. Yeah. And my point is that the majority of the people who come to town don't crash. So like, would it be just the Matthews in purgatory, like, and Jade, and everyone else is fake? Oh, I don't know. Is it the good place?
Yeah.
It seems unlikely that they're dead to me.
Yeah, I agree. So as after Tabitha leaves, and after that happens, Katri, like, you're watching it, they're lingering on Katri. He's alone. They're lingering on him. So something interesting's about to happen. And so he goes down into the basement, and you see he's got Sarah tied up and gagged in a chair in the basement. And
how did he get her down there?
Don't know.
With nobody seeing him. Like,
don't know.
Because there was a crowd, right? Like, Nathan died, the whole town gathers round, and then Sarah disappears. How does he catch her and get her in the basement? Like,
I have no idea. He's secretly a creep. They're both secretly creatures.
That makes the most sense.
But he tells her they need to talk. So then Boyd and Kenny are finishing digging the grave, and Boyd asks Kenny if he's all right, and he said he's just having a hard time wrapping his mind around like how Sarah could do that. And his mom is really upset because Sarah was like the daughter that she never had.
Yeah.
And Boyd tells him that he was thinking about what he said about how they're running out of room on the board. And Kenny kind of blows it off, but Boyd's like, I think there was something to that. And, you know, he tells him that, you know, things are kind of changing now. And the only reason that nobody has ever, like, he mentions that the talisman worked in the RV. And the only reason that nobody's gone out further than they have is because they didn't know if the talismans would work that way, which
Yeah.
is kind of a is kind of a continuity error because of something that we see in, like, something that we see later on. But yeah, Kenny asks him how far he's going and if he's going alone, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going alone, and I'll go as far as it'll take me." And Kenny just, like, throws down the shovel, gets really upset and throws down the shovel, and
Understandable.
Like, yeah, it's like, if you're trying to die, you should just go do it. Like, wow, damn, that's dark. So back in the Matthews home, Tabitha is finishing packing away the Pratt stuff while Jim is checking out the wires in the lamp. And he tells Tabitha that there's no wire in the cord and points out that the outlets are fake too. And I wonder how he thought to check all this,
Look
you
for
know?
that. Yeah. Why was he stripping the wire from that lamp? But
Well, I guess, like, he probably had to figure that. I mean, you know, he's an engineer, so his mind kind of automatically goes to, like, how stuff operates. But I guess the thought probably entered his head that, okay, we don't have power lines here. How are we getting electricity? Like, how is this happening? So yeah, it's so I guess that makes sense that he would be inspecting that. Um Jade is so funny. He just barges right into their house like Kramer.
right? Yes.
And he's like, "Oh, you noticed the wire shoe. Cool."
What do you got to eat in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally Kramer. That's really funny.
Yeah. And Tabitha mentions that he's the guy that almost killed him, and he's like, "All right, you know what? My best friend was driving, and he was my best friend since 4th grade, and he's dead. He's not just walking around with a little boo-boo on his leg, so let's call him." Like, damn. I love Jade.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's terrible, and I love him.
I know. So back in the church basement, Katri is talking to Sarah. And this is something that I mentioned at the top of the episode that I wanted to get back to. He mentions that there's not a single copy of the Bible in town, which is kind of surprising to me because with, like, people are going to Katri services. I can't imagine all of them are just there to kill boredom.
No one that came to town had a Bible in their car.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Is there a motel? Is there a motel in town? I feel like there's a motel sign.
There's a motel sign and a pool with a car in it, but no motel.
Is it maybe it's gone, but like a motel, every room has a Bible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really I find that really interesting that not a single person would have a Bible on them.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the Matthews mentioned that they're not really a religious family. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel like one of them mentioned something like that. But you know, they can't be the only people that came there that were, like, taking a road trip.
Yeah.
And you would think that there had to be at least somebody who was, like, very religious who was taking a road trip and, you know, never goes anywhere without their Bible.
At least one person. Like,
yeah. So I found that really interesting.
Especially, like, we don't know for sure, but I definitely feel like Fromville's in the South, and Them people love Bibles.
Yeah. Yeah. I am like, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm assuming that Fromville is probably in South Carolina, because of that newspaper that's in the credits.
Yeah.
But
That's a very solid guess.
yeah. Well, obviously it's kind of nowhere. It's kind of nowhere and everywhere. But I do think it was originally a real town. And I think that real town was in South Carolina. But I don't know, who knows?
That.
Could be totally wrong. But yeah, he he still has the gag on her at this point. He's just blabbing away. But he tells her that that Nathan actually told him about the voices. And then he finally removes her gag. and he says that, despite all the awful things that she's done, he thinks that she could still be of use to them. So back at Colony House, Julie is putting the bouquet she found in a pot. And she tells Fatima that she just found it outside. Out on the road, Jade and Jim are stripping Jade's Audi for wire.
Yeah.
And Jim asks him why they went all the way to Jade's car when they could have just stripped the wire from the cars in town. And he's like, "This is a top of the line model, not a peasant model jalopy."
Not a peasant model. I just have peasant model in all caps underlined. Yes. Peasant model jalopy. Ooh, eat the rich.
Oh, God, I love it. So at the diner, Tabitha and Ethan are dropping off the Pratt stuff, and Mrs. Liu brings them out over to the storage area. And poor Ethan is nervous about being there, and Tabitha reassures him that, "Don't worry, Sarah's not here. She's not going to hurt you."
That was sad.
I know. They start, checking out everything that's in it, and then Ethan says something really interesting. He basically everything in there is stuff that used to belong to the people in town. Present residents, past residents, future residents. But Ethan compares it to the cavern of the Lonely Dragon. And he says that when the Cromanacle was lost in the rainbow sky, she found the cavern home to the cavern home of the Lonely Dragon, and it was full of things that nobody else wanted, but was it to the Lonely Dragon or the Cromanacle that it was all treasure?
The dragon.
Yeah, okay. And then in one of those piles was the map of the rainbow sky, which the dragon gave to the Cromanacle, which allowed her to find her way. And then Ethan then says that they could find the map in the storage room. And Tabitha suddenly then notices a bracelet that she's particularly intrigued by, and so she picks it up and takes it. Now, what Ethan was saying about the Cromanacle and the Lonely Dragon, I mean, that sounds pretty much like it ties into the season 2 finale.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
So out in the field, Jim and Jade are walking up to a tree. And Jim is thinking that it probably isn't tall enough, so they won't have the signal strength. But Jade's like, "Nah, it'll just be a test run." And but he's like, he totally puts Jim down. And he's like, "Come on, you're an engineer, right?
Tree."
Yeah, he's like, it's like so that means that one of us built a multi-million-dollar software company and the other does safety tests on the teacup rides.
He never stops talking about that company.
I know.
Like, Fat Lot of good at doing you now, buddy.
And this is something I love about Jade. Like, Jim walks away. He's like, do it yourself. And Jade runs over to him and he's like, look, I'm sorry. I'm just not great at talking to people. He does this so many times where he's just like a total dick to somebody. Then he's like, wait, no, I'm sorry.
My default is dick. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I love that about him. It's kind of funny. But so he convinces Jim to help him, and partly because he can't climb the tree because he has vertigo. And so Jim decides to, Jim goes along with it. So back at the clinic, Boyd is visiting Christy. Did you know that, and like you, I just disappeared. Like you, I need to get better with the actors' names, but Chloe Van, can't remember her entire last name. The woman that plays Christy, she's actually a nurse.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I love that. What a nice wrinkle.
Yeah, she's a surgical and ICU nurse.
Hell yeah!
I was on her Instagram page the other day, and like she was that's what she was doing as recently as the pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty interesting. She was and then she went in acting. I don't know if she was like trying to find acting jobs before then, and then she just like in nursing was her backup. Which is a pretty great backup to have. But it's funny because I made the comment to my husband. I was like, maybe she got cast because, I mean, she's great as Christy. I think she's wonderful. But I made the comment to him that maybe they cast her so that they could save money on hiring a medical consultant.
We don't have to have a set medic pulling double duty. Oh my God. But a studio would do that. Like, they would straight up do that.
Here's your script. Now change anything you think needs changing.
Right. Christy's on set. No getting hurt for the next 25 minutes. Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, it's
that's so funny.
I know. So Boyd is visiting Christy, and he asks her about Kenny and how she thinks he's doing. And she mentions that like he has a lot of pressure on him to not let Boyd down. And Boyd mentions that he's trying not to push him too hard. And but he also wants him to take over at some point. And that's when Christy tells him that, he wants to prepare him for the worst and to be a successor, but right now he's in a lot of pain and he needs a father, not a sheriff.
That's Boyd's fault for giving off those perfect dad vibes.
I know, exactly. Exactly. I don't know how more people are just like following him around and
right?
like crying on his shoulder.
Just has a trail of residents like ducklings behind him.
Yes.
Please be proud of me.
Yeah. I totally would be if I were in Fromville. I would just be annoying the shit out of Boyd every single day. Make me feel better about my life, Boyd, please. But so he leaves, and then we go back to the basement of the church. And okay, and this is what started my obsession with this show, and just like constantly like thinking about it nonstop. So Katri tells Sarah that people think that the Bible is a fixed object, but how could it be completed when all the players are still on the stage? And he mentions that the Bible is composed of 73 books filled with tales of miracle and wonder, as well as darkness and gruesomeness. And since he arrived in town, he's been wondering if the people of the town are living through the unwritten 74th book.
Mm-hmm.
And I became so obsessed with this because, like, when the second he said that, the second I heard him say that, it made me think of the Book of Enoch,
Mm-hmm.
which they're really there are 73 books of the Bible, but there weren't always 73 books of the Bible.
Yeah.
I think the Ethiopian Bible is the only truly complete one that hasn't had anything removed. I think
How many books are in that one? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I need to look that up. But it's the Book of Enoch. I went down such a rabbit hole with the Book of Enoch. And God, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. The more I went down the rabbit hole, the less I started kind of thinking that it's tied to a lot of the stuff in From, but but it convinced me that it has to be big, that so much of this has to be biblical. I can't imagine that it's not. And there's so much stuff regarding the Garden of Eden and Noah and Moses, and
there's tons of biblical imagery.
Yeah.
Tons of it. My only nitpick is that I feel like if it's we're going on and saying it's a continuation of the Bible or it's another book of the Bible, I'm fine. But I feel like it can't be it can't be like 73, like 400, 800 years, nothing happens, and then 74. Yeah. That's my only, we got to be on like 92 by now, right? Like,
yeah.
Other stuff has happened, but
true.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be a Fromville that is like utopia, you know?
Yeah.
That came before. There could be a version of Fromville that the second you step into it, you get skinned alive. And nobody survives. Yeah, so you make a good point there. But yeah, I wanna look into some of the other removed books of the Bible. But Enoch is the one. I didn't realize that there were more banned books of the Bible. Enoch was the only one that I knew of. But I definitely want to look into some of the others. The Book of Enoch has like aliens and giants and all kinds of crazy shit.
I've been researching a little bit since you started telling me about it, and it's fascinating.
Yeah. There's a heavy alien theme going on. And one thing that and you know, he mentions that maybe they were so this could provide an explanation as to why just now they're writing the 74th book of the Bible. He mentions that, you know, maybe they were specifically chosen, the people there. And he needs Sarah to tell him about the voices that she's been hearing. All right, and that is the halfway point.
I will take over from here. Back at the Matthews home, Tabitha sits at the kitchen table staring at the bracelet she found at the diner. She's turning it over and over in her hands, studying it, like obviously very concerned. Ethan comes up and asks what she's doing. She says she's admiring the piece of the dragon's treasure. Behind them, the light flickers off and on, and Ethan asks why the lights keep doing that. And Tabitha asks if he wants to go on an adventure called Where Does the Light Come From?
Yes.
So they begin to look around the house for tools. She finds a hammer for herself and a screwdriver for Ethan. And with Ethan's help, she slides the bookcase out of the way, unplugs the lamp, and they just start wailing on the wall. Like,
which I'm sure
Ethan
Ethan
is
probably enjoyed
surprised.
thoroughly.
Yeah. He was in shock at first.
Yeah.
Um, we move back to the tree. Jim, sorry, my speech to text turned itself on and it started writing over my notes. Back at the tree, Jim is reaching close to the top with the radio equipment. Jade is down on the ground, kind of semi-ignoring him as Jim gets stuck and asks for his help. Jade kind of half-heartedly helps him while keeping an eye on what he's doing, and then he finally gets up and turns around and puts his hand on the tree to check and see if Jim's okay, when blood starts pouring down the tree and covering
Lovely.
his hand. He starts to back away, and as he looks up, and the branches of the trees are filled with not just Civil War soldier bodies, but like destroyed. Like, they weren't just hung, but there was like one guy was hung, and then there was just a foot, and then there like body parts. Were all of the soldiers in the tree white? From what I could tell,
From what I saw, yeah.
they're all in Union uniforms.
Yeah.
But I think all the officers in the tree are white.
I think so. It's really hard to tell because, like, you know, there's so much blood and
Yes.
they're not really like complete body parts, and it's a little hard to tell. I kind of want to go back and double check that, but I think they were all white.
Mm-hmm. They are hanging from the tree, dripping blood everywhere and covering Jade in blood. He looks up at the tree to see the symbol appear in the tree trunk that he saw earlier in the previous episode in the root cellar. He backs away in horror when suddenly he's face to face with another ghostly Civil War soldier, this time a black soldier, who seems to have like, he had like his face was kind of like messed up, right? Like,
Yeah, it looked almost like it was burned, like half of his face was burned or something.
Jade backs away from the soldier and starts to run. The soldier takes a shot at him. Jade keeps running. The soldier takes another shot at him. This knocks Jade off of his feet. He's on the ground. He's backing away, and the soldier approaches him and appears to stab him in the belly with his bayonet.
Yeah.
Jade screams, and the soldier rears back again to take another whack at him, this time at his face, when he hears Jim's voice telling him to wake up and that it's not real. Jade is still in a panic, but he finally like shakes loose from the vision, and Jim is standing there. Jim asks him what he saw, and he tries to help Jade up, and Jade kind of slaps his hands off of him and like just takes off. He's very freaked out, which is quite understandable. That scene was intense.
Yeah, definitely. I just kept thinking during the scene, like, oh, hey, he finally caught up to Jade. Jade got away from him in whatever other timeline, and he finally caught up to him. The show is so crazy that, you know, anything could happen.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
In the basement, Sarah tells Father Khatri about the voices she's been hearing. She said that it's basically a spirit that claims to be trapped there like they are, and has been trying to help guide her to a way that can get everyone home, including the voices. She said that it told her things that had happened in the past and things that would come to happen, like the two cars showing up in the same day. Sarah says she believes the voices because they kept telling her things that otherwise they would have no way of knowing. Khatri asks if she still believes the voices, and she says no, because they promised her that Nathan would be safe. Khatri tells Sarah that they're going to have to convince Boyd that she's not crazy, that the voices are coming from Sarah's head, but through her.
I had to laugh at that part because he's like, we can convince everyone. And she's like, that I'm not crazy. He's like, no, that.
Yeah. No, you're crazy.
No, you're crazy.
The voices aren't just coming from Sarah's head, but that she's more deeply connected to Fromville than anyone else they've been able to figure out so far. Sarah agrees to help him, but then begins writhing in pain. She screams that she needs paper, and she says the voices have something they want her to show Khatri.
She did a really good job with this. Like, I mean, for nothing to be happening to her and she's screaming in pain, I mean, I can imagine it would be a real challenge to make that believable. But I mean, you really felt like she was in pain.
Yeah. She said that, like, with the scene of Kill the Boy being burned into her arm, like, she's a great actress. I really like her. I need to look up her.
Avery Conrad. That one I remember because it's easy.
Yeah, Avery Conrad. Yeah, snaps for you. Those scenes, like, especially that one where she's drawing for Khatri, are really, really incredible. Like,
yeah,
it does seem like something's moving through her.
Yeah, for sure. She's a really fascinating character. I hope she survives season 2.
Morally gray in a fun way.
Yeah.
I do too. I really do too.
I have some thoughts on that we can discuss after.
At the end, yeah.
After this,
yeah. Back in the field, Jim is toying with the sheriff's stereo, trying to pick up a signal, but all he's getting is static back, which is it nothing? Static is something.
Yeah.
Back at the diner, Mrs. Liu forces a cup of tea on a frantic, insane Jade. She notices that he has been frantically drawing the symbol.
And still has to change his clothes, by the way.
Yeah, no, still
He's
covered.
Like Daryl Dixon. He's like the Daryl Dixon of From.
Yeah. He needs his protective film.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He needs his blue and white striped shirt, and he needs to not take a shower for, like, he needs to go a couple weeks without taking a shower. I have a feeling that Mrs. Liu eventually, like, I have a feeling that he just wouldn't change or shower and just started stinking up the place, and Mrs. Liu just, like, threw him in the shower.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Just like her chasing him with the, like, scrub brush and soap, like,
yeah. Yes.
I love Mrs. Liu.
Yeah.
She notices that he's been frantically drawing the symbol. He starts trying to talk to her, but she walks off to the storage room, and he follows. They dig through some old books until she finds a large leather journal that shows him that someone else who had previously been in town had also been drawing that symbol. Back at the basement, Sarah still seems to be in a lot of pain. She's drawing a very crude, childlike drawing of a man in a spaceship. Khatri asks her what it is, and she says the voice to say that they watched him on the day he got here and they saw him bury the bag. Sarah asks if he knows what this means, and she tells him that the voice tells him that this is the proof that the voices are real.
And they're not very good artists.
No. I'm wondering, like, is what's drawing making the quality of the picture, or is it Sarah? Because, like, I don't think it's the boy in white that's controlling Sarah, but he is, like, a known entity that is a child. So I'm wondering if maybe he has an opposing entity that's also a child, because it looks like a little kid's drawing, or is that just from like the pain of being controlled?
Yeah. I think it may just be because there's a lot of confusion going into actually drawing it on the paper, and she's not completely in control of herself.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It is something moving through her, so maybe it doesn't have the finest of motor skills.
Yes.
Back at the sheriff's station, Boyd searches through his things. He excitedly finds a catcher's mitt and baseball. He runs across the town to find Kenny at home, mournfully carving a new chess set, which really broke my heart.
Oh, I know.
He tells Kenny that he used to play baseball and was even scouted professionally, but life had other plans for him. He confesses to Kenny that he believes that he has the beginnings of Parkinson's like his father did, and that eventually he won't be able to take care of everyone. So he needs Kenny for that day, for Kenny to be ready to step up to take over. Yeah. He also tells Kenny how proud that he is of him and how proud that his dad would be of him. And the really, really beautifully done, beautifully acted scene by both men.
Yeah.
And they get up. It's probably like one of the first times in media where two people with a father-son relationship got up to go play chess where I didn't audibly groan, or chess to go play catch where I wasn't like, but
I actually did laugh at it when he's like, yeah, let's go toss the ball around. I'm like, really, Boyd, can you be a little less cliche right now?
This is the only father-son activity that is acknowledged by the media.
I know.
That happened to me at Guardians 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, where they play space catch with Kurt Russell. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. So I did laugh at that. I found it kind of amusing, but it was still a nice scene though.
It was a lovely scene.
Yeah.
It went really, really good one. Jim returns home excited about the radio to find a wall full of holes, and Ethan carrying up a bucket of dirt from the basement. He goes down to the basement to find Tabitha frantically digging at the floor. She asks Jim if he remembers the bracelet that she made for him out of his father's leather bootlaces.
Mm-hmm.
Jim says yes, and she shows him the bracelet that she found in the diner, explaining to him how it is the exact same one, that it's broken and there's a mistake in the same place, that she handmade this bracelet and knows it for certain to be that same one that apparently had gone missing on the day that Julie was born. She tells Jim that while they can't figure out what's going on with the wires, they can figure out where the wires go. So then Jim starts digging too.
Yeah.
They're hunting for electricity.
Yeah.
Outside, Father Khatri is frantically digging a hole out in a field. He pulls a bag out of the ground that contains a bottle of alcohol, a bloody shirt with a priest collar, and a candy bar with a man on a spaceship in the logo that looks almost exactly like the crude drawing made by Sarah.
Yeah.
So that kind of confirms that the voices at least know something that's going on, and that Khatri's got some shit going on.
Yeah. And I'm a little disappointed in him for bearing booze.
Yeah. Especially when they're drinking potato piss wine.
Yes, exactly.
You don't want to dig that back up and add it to the pile.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jade hasn't taken over and perfected the recipe yet. So yeah. And
it looks like a nice bottle of booze. Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure what it was supposed to be, but it looked high quality.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
By the pool, Kenny and Boyd are playing catch. Kenny, for the first time, sees the tremor in Boyd's hand with his own eyes. He tells Boyd that he's going to carve a bat for when Boyd returns from his trip so they can play a proper game. And Boyd is very grateful to have Kenny's approval to go hunt out in the woods. And then in our final scene, we go back to Colony House. People are asleep all over the place, all over the floor, all over the couches.
Yeah.
And a lone man creeps past the sleeping bodies. He tiptoes upstairs to the bathroom where he pushes aside a curtain to reveal one of the monsters chilling in her adorable face and 50s bob, floating outside his window, holding the bouquet of flowers that Julie had found earlier. She says, "Thank you. These are beautiful." And he says, "I'm glad that you like them." And then she says, "When can I come inside?" giving him a big smile, and we roll credits.
There's got to be plenty of single women in Colony House, like,
right? There are single women everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that bad looking of a dude, but he's probably got some issues though, considering that he's been courting a monster.
Yeah. I don't know his whole story, but like everyone has seen what those monsters have done to people.
Yeah.
You can't think that like, oh, she's one of the good ones. Like,
yes. She's a very important creature though, because I think she offers some clues possibly.
And her name's Jasmine.
Yes, her name is Jasmine. Yeah, we both have a namesake in this show. My namesake doesn't have a very good
it's all right.
experience. But
the fact is she's there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and I don't want to talk. Well, I mean, I guess okay. So why don't we just go ahead and get into the spoilery stuff now?
Yeah.
So yeah, what's interesting, and obviously I'll talk more about this next week, but Jasmine is really interesting because she's cleaning herself after she attacks. She's looking at herself in the mirror and she's cleaning herself. Like, she's doing very human-like things.
Absolutely.
Which is really interesting. And, and some of the stuff that she says to Kevin, like, I wasn't always like this. Now somebody brought up this theory on Reddit that the creatures can only go after people who are afraid of them. And they explained the thing with Kevin, because obviously Kevin wasn't afraid. And they explained the thing with Kevin is that you don't normally see like the creatures kind of start off so mildly with hurting somebody.
Yeah.
And this person was like, he wasn't afraid, so she had to scratch him. Which I found really interesting.
Because he was just into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And and they also brought up the fact that that Randall spent all that time out in the woods, spent the night in the woods, and they didn't touch him.
That's a good point.
I mean, I thought at first it was because of what was going on with him, with the cicadas and everything, but yeah, you would think that the creatures would probably still get to him somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was just laying out there the whole night.
There's also clearly something watching them. Like, something knows everything that's happening all the time. So I would assume that whatever that is would be in cahoots with the monsters, and they'd be able to say like, hey, there's a lone guy in quadrant 4, like, go step it down.
Yeah. Now, we saw a lot of the motel pool with the car in it in this episode. And what do you think happened? What do you think happened to the motel?
I'm assuming it burned down. I'm wondering if maybe that might be connected to, what was the Victor's I don't know if he's Victor's stepdad or his mom's boyfriend. The guy that went crazy and
Christopher?
yes, Christopher.
Oh, was he with Victor's mom? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I believe
Okay.
so. I believe
Gotcha.
they were probably together.
Okay.
But there was some cataclysmic event surrounding that, and I'm wondering if that's when the hotel went down.
This is what I'm thinking. I have a feeling. I don't know if this is. I want to say this is in the opening credits, but I could be wrong on that. It could be something that I just saw in one of the episodes. But there's a house with like this swirly thing around it, almost like it's getting picked up in a tornado. So I wonder if that's what happened to the hotel.
That's a very good idea.
And what's interesting about that is if that's the case, that's really fascinating, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a flood. And I think I mentioned this last week, and I'm like, I don't know how that's going to happen, but no, it could. The Brundles is big enough. I think that could totally happen. There is a picture. There is a crayon drawing of two people sitting on a roof and with water surrounding a house. And I just noticed, I can't believe I never saw this before. But when I was rewatching this episode, in Ellis's like giant painting that he did that's hanging above Julie's bed, there's a sea monster in it.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And that ties into a shit ton of stuff that that I've been theorizing about.
Interesting. I didn't notice that either.
Yeah.
I need to get some stills of all the painting and artwork and stuff.
I am going to try to gather all that stuff together. People have posted everything onto Reddit, I swear to God. Like, I was going through some of the pictures posted in the subreddits, and just it's really cool how many interesting little tidbits I found out. Like, for instance, they've got all the states marked and as to who came from where. And apparently Illinois brought someone named Norman, like Ethan's little.
Oh, Norman.
Yeah. And Wild Marjoram, you were right about those little finger puppets. They are dragons. I just thought they were kind of like nondescript things, but
yeah, just monsters. I wasn't thinking they were. There's a lot of dragon imagery in the show. And now sea monster. There's gotta be something coming.
Yeah. There's a drawing on the bulletin board in the clinic of a dragon, like a kid's drawing. Yeah, there's so much dragon imagery. And it's, I don't know if that could possibly go along with the sea monster. Like, I don't know. It's really interesting. Now, one thing that's kind of peculiar is I don't know if you're already aware of this or if you spotted this, but later on when we get flashbacks of Victor and his mom, she's wearing that same bracelet.
Oh yes, the one that Tabitha found.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
So
gonna sound messed up, but that storage facility really gives me like Holocaust museum vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's just
yeah.
filled with
Yeah.
like old sad things that belong to people who aren't with us anymore. Like it was the way the bracelets were all piled up for me, and that hers was like right on top.
Yeah.
But I was
I
like,
could see that.
man, that makes me really melancholy.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. I one thing that I thought was a little suspect, and I don't want to cast suspicion. I this is someone I don't want to cast suspicion on because I love her. But why why was Mrs. Liu so like hell bent on Jade drinking the tea?
I think just to chill him out because he's like,
Yeah.
what? Like he's in there freaking out. Like I
Yeah.
was hoping she think it would like take the edge off, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, that could be it. I just thought it was I just thought it was a little weird at first, but yeah, that would make sense.
Do you have MVP LVP this week?
Oh my god, I almost forgot. Yeah. Oh, and I will have the graphics next week. I'm working on some animated graphics.
You
Um
just reminded me because you said mine. So
um yeah, for me this week, Kevin is going in the box. And
yes.
and you know, he's it and I'm gonna have the same answer next week too.
Yeah,
This might be the only time that the same person gets put in the box
he
2 weeks in a row.
belongs there.
Yeah.
He
But,
belongs there.
as far as who's getting pancakes, um, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna give the pancakes to Tabitha this week.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, because one thing I really like about and I feel like the entire Matthews family just gets a lot of hate, like, people don't like the Matthews
Yeah.
characters. I mean, Julie is just kind of, whatever. Jim, I'm a little annoyed with him. I love
Mhm.
Ethan. I think Ethan is such a
He is,
compelling character.
he's the linchpin.
Yeah, he totally
He's like
is.
the heart of the series.
But what I love about Tabitha is that, I've mentioned before that this is the show has made me stan male characters for the first time
Mm-hmm.
in a long time. And you've got men really kind of driving the show.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I like about Tabitha is that she's not just in shows like that, it's very common for the man's wife to just be kind of complacent and,
Yeah.
just going
A
along with stuff.
non-character. Yeah.
And Tabitha's really the one who takes charge on everything.
Absolutely.
So I
Well,
really
Ethan.
I really liked that she, got this idea in her head and started
Just
going on it.
acted. Yeah. She didn't wait for permission from her husband.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, she's getting the pancakes for me this week. What
Very
about
good.
what about you?
I also put Kevin in the box. I just put Creep in the bathroom because I couldn't remember his name. He gets a 1,000 years box,
Yeah.
20 years no trials
Yes.
box forever. My MVP um, this week, I'm going with Mrs. Liu because I just realized this episode she has two of the most important jobs in the town. Like, not
Mhm.
only is she responsible for the diner, which is serving almost every single person breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, but she also has the full storage, like the entire like town's history and everything that came from the residents before and after that she's keeping up with, and has like she knows where everything is. She knew where that journal was. She didn't have to like hunt around for it. So she's obviously has some kind of organizational system. Those are two huge jobs to give to
Yeah.
one person. And I love her.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I do too.
She's bossing it hard. All the pancakes, even though she makes the pancakes. Someone else make pancakes for her.
Yes. Yes, I
episode.
hope we get like a really good cook in Fromville who will like cook for Mrs. Liu and
Yeah.
let her just enjoy the food. Oh man. Let's go through some of these comments. Don't babies cry out because the doctor smacks them. Not because they're looking for answers. Yeah. But let's see what else. When the priest says they're in purgatory, it really makes sense because it's the truth. Even if it isn't, they're in a holding area that they're trying to get out of. True. Yeah. What is going on with the electricity? The wires are hollow. How do lamps work? What's up with the tabletop jukeboxes too, right? Okay.
Question.
Yeah, this is something I almost forgot to talk about. There was some speculation going on Reddit, some theorizing that came about after this episode in particular, that some folks were thinking that this could actually all be in a child's imagination, like the whole thing. Because kids don't really, mostly because of the wires thing, because kids don't really understand that stuff. Like that's how they would imagine power to work, you know?
Yeah,
like
that makes a lot of sense.
Disappeared
it's also
into
an
nowhere.
episode of Buffy.
Oh, I don't remember that. I haven't watched Buffy in years. I've seen every episode, but I haven't watched it in years.
It's an episode where a kid was being abused by his doctor, and he's in a coma, and they're like the things that he's like dreaming in his coma are happening out in the world. And
yeah,
not one of the better episodes, but
when that happened, it almost made me like, it actually made me think of the boy that Father Khatri talks about in next week's episode.
Yeah.
Like, what if he never, you notice he never even said that boy died, that his father killed him or anything. He just said that he left him in a really terrible state. Like, could this all be a coma dream that the little boy is having?
I'm wondering, I mean, we're still in spoilers. Yeah.
If
it's like, when we see all those kids later on, all those like ghostly children, is it like their collective like sleep, you know, like they're all being held in some kind of weird state and it's their collective consciousness that's controlling everything?
Yeah, that could be it too. Something else that I wanted to bring up, so that the whole stuff with the Lonely Dragon's treasure and the map of the rainbow sky. So yeah, I mean, I think that definitely ties into the season 2 finale, because Victor tries to, doesn't he like actually try to draw out for Tabitha where to go, and then he just ends up taking her. And then Tabitha gets to where she was trying to go. She gets to the tree that leads to the tower. And so I thought that was really interesting. I also, so it's definitely foreshadowing. Something that I saw, and you might have seen this already because like, you've been watching From a lot longer than I have. So I haven't really seen any of the cast members like behind the scenes photos or anything. But I saw something today that really excited me on Reddit. And I guess a while back, one of the cast members had posted some behind the scenes photos, and there was one of Julie and Ethan sitting, like they were just goofing around, and they were sitting in the chairs in the waiting area of the hospital. And there was a sign by them that had like, that showed where everything was. And it said level 2, which ties into my thinking that Tabitha is not out of Fromville.
Yeah.
She's in she's like in the next level of Fromville.
Yeah.
So
that's very interesting.
I thought that was really cool. I am happy that at least they have Robert Ludlum and Judy Blume books in Fromville.
Shout out to Judy Blume.
Yes. Why those 2 authors though?
I don't know. It's not often you see a big collection of Judy Blume Blume books places.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that there would be a shitload of Thomas Clancy and Stephen King and romance novels.
Dan Brown.
Yeah. Sarah looks very doll-like, and this reminds me of the toys left on the stairs later. Oh, interesting. Science, Jade line, but it reminds me of Breaking Bad science pitch. Maybe Ethan is the key to leaving, and that is why Sarah was told to kill him. Upon rewatching, I keep catching these prophetic words for the kid. That could be. Now, there was a YouTuber who had a really interesting theory on that. And that was that kill the boy was actually referring to in the next episode. I think we talked about this a little last week, and Marjoram, I think you were not here for this discussion actually. There is after Kevin brings Jasmine in through the window, she looks at him and she says, "My handsome boy," which we talked about how that just seems like a really weird thing to say. It sounds like something that, a mother would say to their son.
Mm-hmm.
And this YouTuber, and I'm so sorry I forgot who it was because I wasn't prepared to talk about this, but they their theory is that the reason that she said that is because it ties in with the message on Sarah's arm, kill the boy, and that she was actually supposed to kill him. And then they would all be able to go home, which would make sense because if she had killed him, then all those people at Colony House wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something else that just popped in my mind that's totally unrelated?
Absolutely.
I want to get this out before I forget it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going through all the deaths in my mind, and it's not totally unrelated. I don't know why I said it's unrelated, because 14 people died at Colony House.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that because Donna said that there were 14. Donna said there were 14 people. So I went through all the deaths and the arrivals, including everybody on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
It all evens out.
I knew it.
It totally evens out.
I knew it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you said you wanted to mention something about the trees too.
Oh, the trees. Yes. Yeah. So I have this theory about the trees that they, Victor said in the last episode that they're moving. And we see in the pilot episode when the Matthews go over the train tracks, we see the train tracks just disappear into the trees. And it seems to me that maybe the trees are actually moving closer together to create a barrier. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And to basically trap them forever. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Jade with the teacup line while being an amusement park designer helped them. He loves ragging on Jim, man. Are people picked because of their professions to be in Fromville? Maybe.
I feel like it definitely tries to attract the things they need, like Christy, like Boyd, like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I feel on some level, I don't know if it's, I've said this the last time, but I don't know if that's them trying to keep their livestock healthy or if there's something actually benevolent trying to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm also really curious about both Mari and Tilly
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
like they're both kind of chaos starters.
Yeah.
Um Mari in the
Tilly on
sense
the
that
list.
Mari in the sense that she, Christy basically just told Kenny that she wanted to be with him,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
then
then
Mari shows
poof.
up. Yeah. um, it was almost like somebody was watching them. It was like, "Oh, no, we gotta get
Mm-hmm.
Christy's fiance in there, stat." Um, and, and Tilly with, like, I mean, she just pops up anytime.
Is the worst.
Yeah. I mean, giving Christy the morphine right in front of Murray,
Mm-hmm.
like outing Fatima's pregnancy. I mean, like stopping Jim when he was trying to peek behind the exit sign.
Yeah,
I
something's
mean,
up with her.
yeah, yeah, for
She's a
sure.
plant to me.
um, actually, what's funny is I was suspicious of her before we even really saw her face
I was
because
suspicious with her from the moment she got off the bus.
yes, yeah, because like she was dancing in the rain. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, she's way too happy about this shit.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
If this had been any other circumstance, you'd been like,
Yes.
my bus broke down in the rain in a murder town. Like,
And
why are
a
you
guy
dancing
was
like
just
this?
screaming and freaking out on the bus and then puked all over somebody.
Exactly. Something ain't right. Something ain't natural.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
all I have to say.
Jade, I know it's harder to be smarter than everybody else. Um, it's so funny. 66 books in the Bible. That is, there are, I forget about the different versions of the Bible, but I guess like the more widely accepted version has 73 books. Um, some of the books or some Bibles only have one of the versions of the Bible has 66. I don't know if that's like the King James version or um I can't I really don't know anything about about that
Couldn't
stuff.
possibly tell you.
The only reason I know what I any of the biblical stuff that I talked about on this show is because I went down a rabbit hole. um but the blood tree theories, why is Jade the one to see Civil War soldiers? I want to know why Jade is the one who started seeing things like right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Right off the bat, immediately.
I mean, before he even accepted that this wasn't like some
Yeah.
fun escape room.
Are other people having visions like this? Like, it doesn't seem that way.
I don't think so because I remember like I think both Kenny and Christy, I think both of them mentioned that, or maybe it was no, actually I think it was both Kenny and Fatima mentioned that like some people see things and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that they might be a couple people that that don't see anything. But
Mm-hmm.
Jade, it was like right from the jump.
Immediately.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so that makes me think that he's very heavily connected to this place somehow. Um, yeah, 2 cars coming means everyone dies. Why? Yeah, I wanna know about the last time that the 2 cars came.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause wasn't it after the initial massacre?
I'm not sure.
I
I'm
wanna say
not
that it
sure.
was. Yeah, because I think that they said it was 40 years ago. I don't know why that number is in my head.
That sounds right.
But I think that the initial massacre was more than 40 years ago, right?
Yeah. I mean, Victor was like, what, 10?
Yeah.
8 maybe? And he's in his 50s now, so.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't think it happened terribly long after, but yeah, I think it happened after that. A lot of Jade in this one, symbols in the book. Yeah. Why do they have a post office? I mean, I really do think that this was an actual town.
A real town. Yeah.
I wish that I could see what the school says, because obviously, conveniently, the name is like worn away.
Smudged off, yeah.
Yeah, you just see elementary. Like, you can tell that that's the name of the school, but it's totally worn away, and you just see elementary and high school. And the other thing that I want to know is I want to know what's on that gas station sign.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, like, I've tried to catch it so many times. Yeah, they don't. So that's something that I'm really curious about. Missing items come back like the bracelet. Yeah, I bet you will see something else turn up. Actually, I bet you will see something, because I'm really curious about what's going to be the deal with Tabitha in Fromville. Is she just going to have vanished? I'm guessing that that's probably the most likely scenario, is that she's just vanished.
Yeah.
But could they also find her body? But either way, I think that, you know, they'll accept that she's just somehow gone for some reason. And she's going to somehow send something back to Fromville. Like,
yeah.
Like through a portal or whatever, you know?
That makes a lot of sense.
Like maybe the lunchbox, you know? Or, you know, something that would,
tree.
Yeah. Yeah, something that would let them know that she's like in some other universe.
Yeah.
What's the priest backstory with the bag? Yeah, it was a bloody shirt with chocolate and booze. Yeah, it was
not a good look.
Yeah. he actually goes into the whole story in the next, it's the next episode where yeah, it's the next episode, because yeah, I remember he was like, he's talking to Boyd, and I just remember, like, it's so sad because he's like talking to Boyd, and they tells him about that whole thing, and then they make these plans. They talk about their plans to go into the woods together, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, the backstory with the bag, there was a little boy that his family belonged to the church that he was at, and one day the little boy like didn't want to go home, and he wanted to stay with Father Khatri, and Father Khatri basically just gave him a candy bar and sent him on his way home. And then he just got a bad feeling about the situation, and he drove by their house, and just as he was driving by, the mom was like running out of the house screaming, and he went inside, and the house reeked of booze, and the dad was just beating the shit out of the kid. And he wasn't getting up, and Khatri started just pummeling him, which, like, I have to wonder how big this guy was, because Khatri's not a huge guy.
No.
But
it's a slight fellow.
Yeah. But he said, you know, even when the bones in his hands started to break, he just kept pummeling. Like, he didn't stop. And I don't remember if he said if he killed him or not, or like,
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't even know if they did. Does the little boy die?
I
Or is
don't
he just?
know.
I don't remember.
But after that, he drove off, and he was standing on a bridge, and he was about to jump. And then he said he heard the voice of God for the first time, telling him that he had a different path. So he got back in the car and then ended up in Fromville.
Yeah.
Your path is to get your throat slashed by a creature.
I wonder if the voice that he heard was the voice that Sarah's hearing.
Yeah. That's a ooh. That's a good thought. Huh. No, I hadn't thought about that. Like maybe they can actually communicate with future Fromville residents before they get there. Wow. Ooh, that's so fascinating. I love it. I guess you get lulled to sleep by the sounds of lovemaking at Colony House. Oh my gosh.
I missed you last week, Wild Margin.
Yes, we did. Hey, Video Game Goomer 58, thanks for stopping by. Hey, Kaiwan, thanks for stopping by. I love this comment. If they get a flood, instant hotel pool, right? Yes, I agree. There are boats. Yes, there are boats in the cave drawing. Yeah, I did see that. Let's see what else here. Spiked tea. Yeah, Mrs. Lou is the mastermind. MVP Jade, so funny, so horrible. Yes, that's what I thought too. No, St. Elsewhere vibes.
Yeah.
There was a drawing with a snow globe.
Oh no.
But I have a feeling that they put that there just to fuck with people.
Can you imagine like the last episode and it goes dark and then it comes back and there's just a kid with the snake? It's the exact ending of St. Elsewhere.
You see, like
that would be amazing.
Yeah, I have a feeling they put that in to fuck with people, just to be funny.
That's funny.
Let's see. Oh, kill the Boyd. Oh, that's interesting.
He ran out of arm.
I hadn't thought about that possibility. Huh. Yeah. Oh yeah, one thing that I had said that I wanted to talk about. Regarding the teaser for season 3. I think that's Sarah that is
carrying back.
Well, that's being tortured in the barn, and I don't know if if she's the same one that they're carrying back, but I have a feeling it might be.
I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah. I really, because I listened to it back on my own. People were talking about the screams and like comparing different people and their screams, and it sounded like Sarah. Like the scream.
It sounded like Sarah to me too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's her at least being tortured. I don't know if she's the one that is in the wheelbarrow. I have no idea. But yeah, I think there's a good chance that she might be going. There's the witch playing chess with people theory. Pieces get renewed on the board, and there's chess in the show. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to think about that some more. Tilly is like Trudy all grown up. I love it. Oh, yeah, it was in the Amazon Prime trivia as an error, 66, but the Catholic Bible has more. And I left a link above because the Bible could have up to 236. Let's see. Oh, yeah, what happens if you post a letter at the post office?
I
It
don't
ends
think
up
anything.
yeah. Yeah,
Usually the post
exactly.
office is the sheriff's station, right? That's the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, I I really would love to see everything that's on that board at the sheriff's station
Yeah.
because there's like not everybody has been able to get all of the like everything that's on there.
I just had a really good idea.
Ooh, what?
I mean, I have a friend who is they shoot in Canada, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nova Scotia, like
I
outside
have a friend who's
Halifax.
a production manager in Canada, and he hires the people to do the production stills for like reference photos and stuff.
Oh.
And I'm gonna hit him up and see if he knows who does From, or if he can put me in touch, because
Ooh,
he put me in touch with. Have you ever seen The Magicians?
no.
That's one of my all-time faves. Such a good show, but he got me like all the reference photos from their set, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
very cool. So I'll see if I can find some. Maybe we can pour over the
Ooh,
minutia a little closer.
super interesting. Um, yeah, I love Reddit because like there is just man, those people never stop. Like they pick apart everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a lot of photos in there that people have caught
Mm-hmm.
like really good quality screenshots of
Yeah.
the map and stuff. Um, but I love how one thing that somebody brought up, and I had noticed this before too, is it's interesting how it's only the US. So I guess customs stop you
Yeah.
from getting into Frumbell.
That's my other thing about them being the new book of the Bible is like, are we going with like the Mormon Bible where everything happens here? Or
Yeah.
like, why would we suddenly jump from Mesopotamia to like now here? But
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
that's just me not understanding how the Bible works.
You know what? I've been doing so much research on like the different books of the Bible, the banned books of the Bible. I've been looking up the Quran. I mean, like just so much stuff. Um, as of right now, if this is like all biblical, not all of it, because I mean, there's definitely some Civil War stuff going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I would, as far as who I would equate the characters with, I mean, I would say like Boyd is Jesus and Sarah is Mary Magdalene. Um, and Fatima is Mary.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh no.
especially since she's having her own immaculate conception.
Mhm.
You know what though? Like one thing that I've been curious about is granted Ellis and Fatima came in at different times. Ellis was there for a while before she showed up. Um they don't share a room.
Yeah. She has her
Um
own room in there.
yeah. Yeah, they don't share a room and it almost makes me think like maybe one of them has a belief against premarital sex
Mm-hmm.
and Fatima just didn't want to tell Donna that like why this was so impossible. Like she just didn't want to she figured Donna didn't need to know that like she and Ellis didn't sleep together.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I mean, Fatima's father was a cleric. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
that sense too. That's a pretty good analysis there. It's entirely possible.
Yeah. So I mean imagine like But you would think that Ellis would be freaking out more.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah,
that
that's
kind
a
of
good
throws a
point.
wrench into it.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? You're pregnant, and we haven't slept together.
Yeah. I doubt he would believe it was immaculate. I just assume
Yeah.
he'd think he was being cheated on. So probably not that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not sharing rooms in Colony House rude. People have to sleep on the floor there. Well, Julie and
Wondering
Ellis
how
share a
Ellis
room.
got such a big ass room all to himself.
Yeah. Well, Julie's in Ellis's room now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fatima's not.
She does not live
Fatima's
there.
her own room. Yeah. That's really interesting. You would think
Really
after a while they would be like, hey, let's move in together, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's give someone else a room.
Yeah. There's something shifty about their relationship. But they're actually part of the Fromville administration, and they're employees of the Fromville administration, and they're just like pretending to be a couple to Ella saw her when she came in and thought she was hot and started flirting with her, and she was like, hey, I got a job for you.
I have this idea.
Yeah. But yeah, did you have any other interesting theories on your mind this week?
I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I've been reading like Trudy just takes over.
Yeah, that's what I was laughing.
Yes. Or Ellis's. Yeah. Yeah, thank goodness Jade didn't stay at Colony House.
He would have not been safe.
No, he would have been waking up with Trudy every morning. But yeah, I spent a little bit too much time on Reddit this week, so I had a lot on my mind. I had a lot of theorizing to do. But leave us a message. Let us know who your MVP and LVP was for this episode, what you think of the whole book 74 thing. If you think any of this is biblical. And also, I want to say I forgot. Who did I give that? Who did I put? Oh no, I put Kevin in the box. Yeah. But Katri was a close runner up because why'd you have to tie her up and gag her like that?
And how?
Yes.
How? That's what I can't get past.
Yeah, I know. She's not gonna just tell her to come with you. She'll come.
Yeah.
She's not gonna run off.
She knows if she runs away, she's gonna get eaten by monsters. So
yeah. Was the bondage really that necessary, Katri?
Right. And he had that stuff ready to go.
Yeah, he sure did.
Katri's got some freak in him. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Well, yeah, let us know what you thought of this episode, if you think any of this stuff is biblical. And let us know. Also, comment if you were in Colony House and you opened a door and you opened a window and a celebrity was standing out there that was actually a creature and you knew they were a creature. Who would you come closest to letting in? Comment that, because I want to know. Who would it be for you, Jasmine?
Ooh. Man, that's a tough question. There's just so many. The guy I found the most attractive just got canceled, so
oh no,
it makes it more difficult for me. Yeah, it was Jonathan Majors.
Oh,
I'm real bummed out about that. I'm gonna say I can't remember the actor's name, but the male teacher from Abbott Elementary.
Okay.
The kid from Everybody Hates Chris. He's really handsome now.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Nice.
I also worked with his brother, and they are like a lovely family.
Oh,
They're
nice.
just good people. Yeah.
Cool. Wait, are you talking about Tyler James Williams? Is that who you're talking about? Okay.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
he's a good-looking guy. He's a
Yeah.
good-looking guy. He was on Walking Dead.
Yeah, I know. I was
Yeah,
real
oh
mad about
God.
that.
He had like the worst death on the
Yeah.
show. The most gruesome. Oh,
Short,
God.
brutal arc.
Yes, that was, oh God, his death was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I was
terrible
mad
as
about
in terrible, not terrible in the way that Beth's death was terrible. That was just stupid. But terrible in just like brutal.
I feel like he's kind of a big actor. Like I
Yeah.
felt like a waste.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. For me,
What about
it
you?
would yeah, I'm gonna say Melissa McBride.
Good choice. Excellent choice.
I see Melissa McBride like outside my window. That's okay. I don't care if she's a creature. She can come
Melissa
inside.
Etheridge starts playing, and
Oh my God, that's so funny.
it's over for me. But I would step out of the window and close it behind me. I wouldn't
There you
let all
go.
my other teammates get eaten just because I had the hots for someone.
Yeah, that would be selfish. Yeah, so that's good thinking. Yeah, me, I would just be stupid and let her in the window, and everyone would get eaten. But all right, yeah. Well, that will wrap it up for us this week. But please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a lot. And also, I'm sorry I didn't address this sooner. I posted something in the community tab, but A-Hole Queens is temporarily on a break for the summer. I just have a lot of stuff going on, and I can't really keep up with it right now. So it's temporarily on pause, but it's definitely coming back. That's not something that I plan to get rid of. So, but after the summer, we'll come back with it. But
More
right
a-holes.
now, this is like about as much as I can handle right now. But thanks for joining us, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.